Global Affairs Analyst Nweke joins me now to speak on the developments rising from the Israel-Hamas war. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Nweke. For the first time, it does appear that President Joe Biden is caving into pressure and trying to prevail on Israeli Prime Minister to end the war in Gaza. How effective do you think this pause in weapons shipments could actually be in achieving the purpose?
Well, I think it's at the nucleus of, this war that Netanyahu felt is inevitable, and that, against all odds, he has to press ahead with it. Now, I think it has come to a point where both the United States President Biden and, those, close to him, particularly the young people of America, of which 71% actually disapprove of the way he has handled the Middle East conflict, specifically the war. And this is an election year. If you place that side by side, the long-standing relationship between the U.S. and Israel, and the fact that in the eyes of America, Israel could almost never do wrong, you can see that he was and remains in a very precarious situation. And finally, like you mentioned, he had to cave in because there is no other option. Now, how will it impact the prosecution of the war? I believe that it is one of those strategies by the United States to get Israel to begin to listen more to the advice, to the recommendations of the United States. They haven't quite been doing that, they have been doing that mainly behind closed doors. But this time around, I believe that the United States decided to, bring it out in the open by taking such a far-reaching action.
Came out, between yesterday and today, and we hear it happened, about 2 weeks ago. So it means that despite this, Israel has gone ahead to launch a ground offensive in Rafah, and despite the pressure coming from the U.S. to avert civilian casualties. I mean, do you see an end in sight to this war?
I don't think it is wise to rule out an end to this war, even when almost everything tells us that Netanyahu is determined to continue with this war on what may. Now, some have said that, due to his unpopularity, due to the fact that he is facing major court case in Israel, of which if he's not a prime minister, he will probably be in jail, that he is determined to continue, on this path. Now, he too is under very serious pressure from his coalition partners, both on the left and on the right, particularly on the right side of the political spectrum, who wants him to destroy not just Hamas, but Palestine as a whole. Now, one ray of hope, though, is the fact that he decided, despite the objection to all of what had been going on, to send negotiations to the mediation that is commencing, like reported, anytime now in Cairo. Now, what that tells us is that at least he has some iota of listening ears, and one would expect or hope that something good will come out of the mediation exercise, and that the war on that basis could begin to see gradual end.
But despite sending a delegation, Israel has said that it does not totally agree with the conditions for the ceasefire proposal which has been put forward. So what do you make of that deal? Is Hamas asking too much?
What Hamas is asking for is normal. One can as well, say that the Israeli government has every right to defend itself, but the point is that the proportionality is just way above anything that anybody has seen. Now, in the end, I believe that both sides have got to be ready to go the extra miles. Now, Is Hamas going the extra mile? I think it has made some efforts by, some of the concessions that he has made. For want of time, I wouldn't go into their details. But Israel is the one that isn't really going that extra mile. And I think they've got to start, considering that very, very seriously now.
All right, then. Global Affairs Analyst Collins Nweke, thank you very much for talking to us on World Now.
Always a pleasure. Thank you for having me.